Hey, what's up YouTube? What's going on? In today's new video, what I wanted to talk about is the importance of identifying core stability imbalances in an individual or an athlete, specifically someone with a history of lower back problems, and how this may specifically relate to the development of one's exercise program. So, as myself as a coach, I specifically will use different muscular endurance core stability assessments, such as a side plank, front plank, or maybe a V-sit hold. Now, everyone's assessment is going to be different, and this is going to be dependent upon their current status and potential limitations that I may have to work with. But the key thing to understand is that when performing these assessments, what I'm specifically looking for is any discrepancies in scores between any of the tests. So for example, if someone is performing a side plank and they score maybe 90 seconds on the left side, but only 60 seconds on the right side, we see there's a big discrepancy from lateral core stability from left to right. Now, this would be important to take note of and something to address in the exercise program, because we see that there's an imbalance there, and what this may lead to is compensation. So certain muscles may be compensating in order to stabilize the spine when they're running, jumping, or performing any exercise, and the side that is weaker, this may also alter the axial and shear loads on the spine. And this could create additional stress on certain tissues, could maybe trigger one's symptoms. So this is why we need to identify these imbalances, and then we would correct them and prioritize the weaknesses in the program. So for example, like I said, the right side maybe we found to be weaker, we would then have to prioritize the right side in the program over the left. And this is just one way that I may go about developing one's program based on the findings from an assessment. Now that's just a side plank, but you could also use other assessments, maybe a front plank, maybe a V-sit hold, maybe an isometric glute ham raise type exercise where we're measuring the extensor endurance, and we're just looking to see the scores and to see what and how they compare and to see what the discrepancies are. Now, one of the biggest concerns for me is obviously if there's a left to right side imbalance. Now, this may occur in a lot of individuals that are involved in a unilateral sport, maybe something like hockey, where you're always bending to one side when shooting. And this can lead to different stability scores on these assessments because they're always engaging in that same motion. Now, one thing to understand too is that while there may be discrepancies in the score, that actually may contribute to the performance, the one side being stronger and the other side being weaker. But at the same time, this could lead to injury. So we have to find that fine balance and fine tune things accordingly to the athlete or to the individual. Because we don't want to take away from performance, but at the same time, we do not want to cause injury. But if they were already at that injured state, this is something that we need to address. And we would address this in the program accordingly based on the findings that we obtained from the core stability assessment. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because this is something that I will use with my clients and people that I work with and train, just to identify any discrepancies, to see what I'm working with and to see what I may need to have to address in their exercise program moving forward and what I need to prioritize. And this is something that you guys out there can do as well to determine what imbalances you may have. Just performing a few basic core muscular endurance assessments and see what your scores are. Now the key thing is to understand that you want to maintain technique as best as possible. As soon as technique starts to break down, or that would be your point of completion of the test, as technique would start to break down, or your indication where fatigue's starting to kick in. So with that being said though, once you do these sorts of assessments, you can then start developing a program for yourself, and you can determine what needs to be prioritized in your program. Maybe it's rotary stability, maybe it's lateral core stability, maybe it's the anterior core, maybe it's your glute and hamstrings that need to be prioritized. So it really depends. Every individual is going to be different, and every assessment that I do is different with each of my clients because, like I mentioned, everyone has different limitations and their current status of training is all different as well. So not one is going to get the same assessment. But I just wanted to share that with you guys because it is very important to identify core stability imbalances, because this is going to help us determine what we may need to do in the exercise program and how it should be structured and prioritized. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you guys were able to learn something in this. And if you have any questions, comments, or anything, for sure leave them below. And until next time, all the best and take care.